Hi, nobodies. Um, so today I thought I'd use like some, uh, I'd test out like the theory of the universe and stuff. I was like, I've always felt that when my husband applied for his disability that he'd get it. Like I've never thought the option that he wouldn't. And so when I saw the letter today, and I was like, well, he's had his psych evaluation, and he's been to like their doctor, and in both cases, I was like, okay, he's they're probably going to approve him. So when I saw the mail was coming, I was like, okay, that's going to say you're approved, but we can't pay you until you've been off of work for 6 months, blah, blah, blah. All those positive thoughts. And the universe replied with no. And then that got me to thinking, because it said, given his education level, and intelligence, he should be able to work. Okay, what? Okay, this man has a shattered hip that the doctor says he needs to get replaced from a motorcycle accident. Um, Shattered wrist, shattered ankle. He's got arthritis in his back, like he's got a deteriorating disc. He's got a couple of them, I think. Okay, so this man some days can't even sit comfortably. Okay. What job is he going to get that doesn't require him to stand, sit? Oh, and he he's not really good with a computer because they didn't have computers in school when he was um, in class and stuff. So he's fairly computer illiterate, and his phone skills are okay, but like I said, he's not really good with typing and knowing how to work a computer. And that's not on him. It's just that the jobs he had, he didn't have to use a computer, really. He's always done like hard work. So it's like, I was really thinking, because see, mine took a long time because you have to prove that, like with a mental issue, you have to prove that you can't keep it together well enough to keep a job. And the first, I was seeing a different therapist when the process started, and she's like, oh, yeah, she can work. No problem. She's got no problems. And it wasn't until the appeal and court date came that I had a different one, and they're like, no. They were like, look at her work history, look at, what those managers have said about her, and stuff. And they're like, and just, she's fragile. And when she breaks, she can't cope. It's a person. It's not something I'm proud of. I mean, I play well with others. I really do. Like I'm not the person who's like screaming and yelling and stomping and stuff. No, I'm the person who's sitting there just bawling her eyes out in the middle of a fucking sales floor because the boss said, I'm disappointed in you, you know. So, and I think it helped my case that oddly enough, I don't think that they knew, but one of the people that was in that whole thing, he said something that triggered me. And so I was bawling during my case. He said something that triggered me about, stuff. And I mean, and that does bother me when somebody's like, oh, you can't cut it, blah, blah, blah. That bugs me because it's like, you don't know what's going on in here and what's going on like all over. I'll tell you what, I mean, imagine that you're headed to work and your hands are numb tingly and you feel like you're going to vomit and shit yourself at the same time. Your head is sweating, you know, and you can't concentrate. because of all this is going on, tell me you make it to work that day. If you can, whoa, you're awesome. Uh, I could maybe do that one day, but not every day. And when I know what I'm in for, I mean, there's a whole bunch of shit about that. Anyway, with him, it is physical, and I've watched him like days when he can't even freaking walk, and it's like, well, what job is he supposed to have? I would work if like you take all those calls that Americans bitch about, oh, this foreigner was on there saying his name was John. Bullshit, your name's John, or Alex, you're Hindi, that's not your name. Why don't you just tell me your name? We get so irritated with that. Uh, I I deal with it fairly well, but occasionally I will get somebody who's got a really, really thick accent, and it's like, whoa, dude. Oh, I know the old people are just like flipping out when they get this person on the phone. So that always has me thinking that that's a job I could do. Like, there are people at this point in time who their cell they've got like a work cell phone for calls to, when people call for customer service, they get transferred to these people who are just sitting in their homes with a computer, you know. And that is an awesome job. That is a job I could do because I just have to be around here. Doesn't take major education to answer stuff like that. Most people could do it. Now, if you're computer illiterate, yeah, you'd need a little training, and that would be hard. But I wouldn't need that training because I am very computer literate. I've done data entry for fun. That's all there is to it. It was just fun. I've done it for a job and I've done it for fun. Um, and the thing is, sorry. The thing is whatever they're paying those Indian people to answer calls for Samsung or all these other big companies that are shipping their work out, I would probably work for that to give myself some extra income because what I get in disability is not enough. And the thought, I mean, like I can fill out an application, but when it comes to I've got an interview, that's too much for me. Like, unless they call, like if they called me at 8 o'clock and said, we're interviewing right now, get here right now, then I'd be a mess. Like if they called me a week ahead of time, I'd be so pissed at them because I'd be on like pins and needles for a whole week that I've got a job interview. I've got to go do this. I've got to meet new people and do stuff. And even like my favorite store, the store I am in just about every freaking day, I thought about working for them. I was like, I could do that. But then I was like, oh, wait. The idea of being stuck there for 4 hours at a time, it's like so much that comes at me just from that idea. It's like, well, if I could just like go up there and stay as long as I wanted, and like if I was doing what I wanted, which I'd love to like unload truck. I love stocking and straightening. If I could do that, I might be cool with being there, but I couldn't depend on myself to be cool with it every single day that I scheduled. That was something that Target never understood. Was I was like, hey, can you put me on call? Don't put me on the schedule. Put me on call. If somebody calls in, call me up, ask me if I want to work their department and their job for that night. Because if I'm feeling good and if it's something that I want to do that day, because places like Walmart and Target are excellent for providing the variety that I crave. Because, you don't want to be a cashier every freaking day. Some days you want to go fold clothes in soft line. Some days you want to work customer service. Some days you want to stock things. Some days you want to straighten. There's like so much different stuff to go do, and I enjoyed that, but they would not give me that variety. They wanted to stick me in like one specific thing. And that was how I got to know how to do like just about everything, you know, but they wouldn't just put me on like, hey, just see if she wants to, just give her a call. We don't care if it's 4 a.m. Say, hey, can you come in and work flow team? I might wake up and go, be there in 30, you know, because the scheduling thing gets me. Anyway, um, like I said, I'm sure that they're paying when they outsource that work, they're paying less than minimum wage. Well, if I would do that job, and I'm pretty sure there are other people that would do that job for the same amount of pay that are American, just because they're like, well, hey, I'm having trouble. And I, I'm having trouble, and this gives me an opportunity to make some money. I mean, it could be that your car broke down and you've got no way to get to a job and back. So, you know, yeah, I'll make less than minimum wage because I've got no way to get to a job. Lots of people, I mean, there's like a multitude of reasons that a person would work for less than minimum wage, an American person. And for me, I'm like, hey, I do that. And I tell you what, these older folks that want to talk to somebody, these older Americans, they'd be real happy to talk to an American who speaks like, even if they've got like a really thick, well, maybe the Boston thing, they might not like that stuff. I can't do that one. I park my car in Park Square. So they may not like that unless they're from there. If they're from there, they would love to talk to somebody who knows their vernacular, has their accent, and all that. Um, and then, of course, you got like your young racists that really hate it too. And then you got young people like my 14-year-old who just she's like, Mom, I've got no idea what this person is saying. I have no clue. Are they even speaking English, Mom? you know I mean, not that I don't want them to have chances to make money. It's just that there are plenty of people here who could use it, especially people on disability, or waiting for disability if they could. I mean, that's just like the craziest thing is while you're on disability, you can work part time and still receive it. But while you're waiting to get it, you can't work at all. And it's like, well, what do they expect you to do? Huh? I was fortunate when I was going through mine that my husband was working and my dad helped me out here and there when I needed it. But now it's just me. It's just me and my income. And as much as I want to help, there's nothing there. And then I tried to get a transcriptionist job, but I couldn't figure out if they wanted me to put all the uhs and ums in there, and so I didn't. But I'm guessing that they wanted the ums and those little stops that people do, and I'm like, I don't want to read that when I'm watching something. I don't want to see hmm, you know, I don't want to see that. I'm like, just give me the actual words that they're gonna say. But I think a lot of people would work for less than minimum wage if it came down to, well, hey, you don't have to leave your house for this job. You can sit at home, you just answer this phone when it rings and help the person on the other end of the line. Because sometimes you're going to get somebody difficult, but I mean, I guess they figure that Americans can't be nice when somebody's being rude to us. I don't know. I can. I know how. I got like 15 years of customer service at least that says when that person's on the line, no matter how nasty they get, you can't get nasty. You just have to take it. And then when you're done, you make fun of them. When you're done, they're off the phone, you make fun of them, or you say, you fucking bitch, just lay it all out because you have to release that that is one thing that I don't hold in. Whenever I was working in retail, it was a constant that if I had a bad customer, I just couldn't wait to tell one of my coworkers. It's like, oh, you should have seen the lady that I just had. She's like, who the hell keeps receipts? People who might want to bring stuff back. That's who keeps receipts. you know, Especially because I'm speaking of a particular one. A lady brought in some pans and she wanted to get $169 for them. And I'm like, well, if I pay $169 for a pan set, I'm keeping the receipt. I mean, you got the box. Why not do what I always did? Tape the receipt to the box. And she's all, who the hell keeps receipts? Blah, blah. And I'm like, well, you can exchange it for another one. And she's like, why would I want the same thing? I just want my money back. I paid cash. And it's like, well, you're not getting $169. You're not. Of course, it doesn't help in that job that when you tell a customer what your bosses tell you to tell them, like when they'll say, when this happens, this is what you do. So you do that. And then you get a customer that's just like bitching him out. I want to talk to your manager. So your manager comes out and does it for them. And it's like, dude. Because then the customer's looking at the cashier like, or the customer service person like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about when you know damn well that motherfucker just threw me under the bus. They fucking do that. It's very rare. I have very rarely seen it where a manager will, when they tell an employee, these are the rules. And then the employee tells the customer throws a fit. It's very rare in my experience that the manager says, well, this is store policy. I'm not doing it for you. Very freaking rare. No, most of the time they throw the cashier or the customer service rep under the bus and say, oh, I'm sorry about all that. Let me fix this for you. And it's like, well, if you were going to freaking fix it, why didn't you tell me in the first place so I could make this person happy? Instead of them looking at me like the Grinch who stole fucking Christmas. Come on. That stuff's just irritating. But see, I've dealt with that. And lots of people can. And honestly, Samsung doesn't have to worry about customer service. Apple doesn't have to worry about customer service. Because, really, what's a customer going to say? Like, they're going to say, well, screw your phones. I'm going to Samsung or I'm going to Apple. And then when you get one of those, if those people treat you like shit, then where are you going to go to? The fact of the matter is everybody, all of the customer service people can treat people like shit. They will be back because they're going to say, well, I love my iPhone. I love my Galaxy. It's an awesome product. It's just like when customers would say, well, you will never see me in here again. I'm never coming back, and I'm always like, I wish. And then you see them a week later in the store. Like nothing ever happened. I tried to boycott Walmart back before Walmart was like all big and stuff. Before, like they were big, but they didn't have like the grocery department yet. I tried to boycott Walmart. I think I made it a year. Now, it's not so. I can't, some things you just can't really boycott. Because it's like, but they've got all the stuff I want in one place and it saves me time. Not necessarily money, because if I want to save money, I can go to a bunch of different places. Anyway, I think that there's a lot of jobs that are going elsewhere that Americans would do for the same amount of money. Now, granted, like your factory work, no. Farming work, no. Construction, no. Because us Americans, we've gotten pretty big on the whole, you don't pay me enough to do that. And that's the mentality. I've worked with a lot of foreign people, and And foreign people tend to have more of a can-do attitude, more of a, I see something that needs to be done, I'm going to do it. And less of a, that's not my job. You're not my boss. You don't pay me enough. Or my personal favorite that I saw a few times was, they owe me this soda. It's like, dude, they give you a paycheck. You agreed to that set amount per hour. They don't owe you shit. You know, pay for your damn soda. But that is the type of mentality that a lot of Americans have compared to immigrants. Is that the immigrants, you know, and plus, you know, there's a lot of, I did this, this is my work, and I take pride in my work. Now, I'm not saying that every American lacks that, because I'll tell you what, when I do something, the bosses would get pissed that it took me so long, but it was perfect. Maybe not pissed. They would get aggravated, but it was perfect. And that's the thing, you know, you'll see some people, they'll do something and they just half-ass it, you know, and it's because they don't care. And we all work with people like that. We work with people that are like seriously OCD. We work with people that half-ass shit. You know, you're always having to go behind them and correct their work or redo it, you know, or clean up after them. I mean, there's always those people. And then there's the people that are always doing stuff and you're like, wait, I was supposed to do that. And they're like, no, no big deal. I did it for you. You know, and you're like, wow, okay, cool, thanks. You know, and most of the time it's people who have this sense of pride in work, and we've got to have more of that. So anyway, have a good night.